Good day, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Get It Got It Good. I am your host, Nysia Wilhite-Carter, and today I'm really excited because I have the writer and producer of Equal Standard here with me today, Taheim Bryan. Say hi to the people, Taheim.
Peace, peace. How y'all doing out there?
Peace. That's that New York thing. So, let me ask you, because this is a hard-hitting film. It's about an hour and 40 minutes, correct?
Correct.
There's crime, action, but it's addressing something that's happening too many times right now. It's addressing, the issues within the police and the community and the police shootings, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what made you go about this topic? Especially, I know you have other films, but this one is like pushing different people buttons in ways that, could have some pushback. Not like you seem to be the one who cares about pushback. You're just getting the story out. But what made you decide to write this story?
To change the narrative on the different perspectives, because most of the films that you see that portray systemic racism, the trailers identify one thing but show something else. And I felt with a film like Equal Standard, I felt every perspective needed to be touched on when dealing with a sensitive topic like race, religion, or politics. So I exemplified the formula of, you see the movie Traffic or Crash, and where you get many different perspectives and just enough to stir up the conversation, because a topic like this you have to be less subjective and more objective to get the people who want to speak out.
So with the movie, you use that as a launching pad for panel discussions, for community outreach things. What would you like to see the movie represent and start? Any type of movements?
No, of course, exactly. You hit it right on the nail. That's what I want Equal Standard to do, and that's what it was designed to do, to open up a conversation. Without conversation, the wall can't be penetrated. So Equal Standard will be a project that will force you to want to at least speak on something about it. And that's a start of breaking down the wall, as you see now with the legal justice system, with the police speaking out against the dude, Derek Chauvin, I think that's how you pronounce his name, with the George Floyd case. You know what I mean? Now police is starting to speak out against their own union officials.
So when you went and you wrote this, how long did it take you to write it?
It seemed like almost one night the way I did it, because this project right here, was motivating me. I couldn't stop writing. It was automatically telling me, write. And it's the only project that motivated me like that. So I knew this project was bigger than me, and it was something that needed to come out.
So before we get into how you went about producing this project, do you want to describe what the movie is about really quick? A quick description for those who may not heard of it or have seen it?
Yeah, well, Equal Standard is a movie where systemic racism collides when two officers are confronted after one is being accused or mistaken as an inner city thug, and both exchange fire. One loses his life, one is fighting for his freedom.
Okay, so that sounds juicy and definitely something that is relatable, especially in today's times. So, okay, it seemed like it took you a night to write it because it just kept flowing through you, correct? So
Correct.
Once it's written, what's the next process? What's the next steps?
Well, with me, after I've written, the first thing you try to do is try to get financing behind it. That's another chapter that I had to climb into, because everyone says we're going to give you money to finance a project, but a lot of them really fail to give the money up. They usually renege on it or try to say something else came up. So it left me to a point. Me and Ice-T was talking one day. He told me one day, like, listen, if you want this project to be yours, man, you got to put your foot in it. And it motivated me. One of the strongest Jules he told me when we was pushing another project was like, "Tom, you're a man, but I don't wake up to your dream. I wake up to my dream." You know what I mean? And it motivated me. It would have crushed some people, because of course those words would hurt, but it forced me to put my boots on the floor and say, listen, let me get into this right here and snap out the mindset of fabric rich and start focusing on things I could do to build my own empire. And I exhausted everything I had to get this done, credit and everything, you know what I mean? Because I knew this message had to get out there to the people.
So that is a jewel, because a lot of times people think because they believe in something so much that somebody else is going to see it or gravitate toward it and put that same type of, momentum, love behind it. But he told you essentially, I'm for you, but it's your baby. So you got to do what you need to do in order for this baby to, you know, be birthed. So you exhausted your credit. You did everything out of your pocket. But did you find once you did all of those things out of your pocket, then other people say, okay, he's actually going to do this. Let me jump aboard. Like, how did he then decide, and I'm talking about IC, how did he then decide to participate in the project? Because he's in the movie, correct?
That's correct. That's correct. Well, you know, one thing that's more valuable than that is time. He gave me his time and his name. You know what I mean? Character is currency. You know what I'm saying? So, but I've always told him since day when I met him, I would never ask you for $1, and I will never make you look bad in public. So I stuck to that. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to come to him and say, well, can I have some money? You know, I come up under era where you find your way. You know, and that's what I did. I found my way, and all I did something. You could be executive producer, and I need you to act in a film. As long as you act in it, I can secure more talent that I need once they hear your name is attached to it. And that meant a lot.
And that's actually more valuable a lot of times than money. A lot of times people don't realize you don't necessarily need the dollar. You may need the support, the ability to use somebody's name. And he's not the only one in this film. You have some good names in here. So do you want to tell people who some of the cast members are?
Yeah, I have Ice-T. I got Treach from Naughty by Nature, Syleena Johnson, Tobias Truvillion, Fredro from Onyx, Jermaine Hopkins that played in Jules, Robert Clohessy, and he's from Blue Bloods, but he's been acting for so many years. This is the first film I actually got him and all his sons in, Myles Clohessy as well as Byron, Criss Kerson. He played along John Travolta. And Marc Jefferies from Losing Isaiah. So it was a great cast that but you know, relationships is everything, you know what I mean? And that's why I try to tell people, protect your character, your reputation, and take care of yourself.
See, I love that. I'm always about networking. Anybody who watches me or follow me knows that I'm always preaching network, build these relationships, friendship, farming, all of these type of things. But I would like to go more into that because a lot of times I know a lot of writers will say, okay, what's the next step? How do I secure this type of talent? How do I even reach out to these people? So you guys, stay with us. We'll be right back.
You're the executive producer
of
this movie, right?
All right, let me explain what that means. When Taheim came to me, he said, I don't want $1 from you. I'll never take $1 from you. I just need the game. And I said, okay. He said, I need you as executive producer. I said, for what? He said, that way people will get involved with the movie if they know that somebody solid. They don't know my name. So I'm like, okay. And sure enough, he was able to assemble a cast and a crew. Then he said, Ice, I need you to act. I'm like, act in the movie? He said, yeah, because if they know there's an actor of your caliber in the film, I'll be able to get better actors. So I said, well, I don't want to play no cop. So I played the head of the Crip gang in this particular film. And he was able to get this movie done with his own money, on his own dime. And wow. I think it's inspirational. When you see this film, you're going to say, wow, they were able to do this on their own.
Welcome back, you guys. If you are just joining us, I am here speaking to the writer-producer of Equal Standards, Taheim Bryan, and we are talking securing cast members. Okay, so you just went and listed a whole bunch of people. Did you already have relationships with these people? Did you know anybody in their camps? Like, how did you go about and recruit some of this talent?
Well, you know, one thing in this industry, you rub shoulders with a lot of people, and the ones that you don't rub shoulders with, the person that you did may know them. So one thing, and another thing I also noticed about this game, a lot of artists like to be remembered from places, whether you've been there or not. So I would go on social media and see which ones had the most, that was doing the most tagging or was active the most on social media. And I would hit them with at least traffic and tell them like, yo, last time I saw we was in Vegas. But I may not have been in Vegas with them, you know what I mean? But I remember the people that was in Vegas at that time. And I used a trailer that I had Southside. That's when I was pitching the TV show based in 1988. And I used that as a supporting disposition to show you I have a body of work. And that's what drew them in. And then Ice-T, I said, yo, Ice-T's also attached this one. And going to different clubs, you know what I mean? I would see them at events and say, listen, I'm working on something that would be dope for you. When the time is right, I'm gonna pull you in and let them know. When they gave me their number, like, yo, I would never call you to borrow no money. I would never ask you, can I get in any shows? If I hit your phone, it would be strictly business. That will only way I would use it. And that's how I built my relationship, just like that, off the positive vibration.
Yeah. And that's so important because a lot of times when you're in certain positions, you don't know who wants what from you. And it seems as though somebody always wants something. So to come at somebody direct and say, look, I'm straight about business. I won't use your name for this, that, you know, it weighs a lot, but it's more than that. You actually have to stand by that and stick to it. So then you give them a phone call and you say, look, this is the project. Did you already have a trailer or like a proposal or something to give them to show what Equal Standard would be about so they could be like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good script?
Like I said at the beginning, first I used my trailer, Southside, was based in 1980, and they seen Method Man on it, and they seen the quality of the project. So that right there, you know, when you're dealing with talent, they look at your body of work, see how great you are, see how your sound is, see who you also got behind you in your project. So I use that as to support my legs right there. And then I hit them with the synopsis. When they read the synopsis, it automatically grabbed them. And then I would sit on the script. Once you read the script, you'll become a part of it. And the topic alone was one of them things like, wow, this is something that's going to be historical. I want to be a part of this because, you know, content is everything. If it would have been a regular shoot 'em up type project, they'd have been like, nah, this ain't going to work. We done did those shows before. But when they seen this one right here and they see how it was so well versed, they was like, this is a no brainer. I'm willing to work with you. And it was a blessing because they all worked with me on the financial level.
So the word that I was looking for earlier, you said it, thank you, a synopsis of the project and how that will work. Okay, so I know there's a difference between writing a story and writing a script. Did you just write the script straight from the beginning, or did it come in a story form and then you had to go and put in who says what in the lines in the blocking and where the locations were going to be and stuff like that? Because this takes place in New York. Like, did you have particular spots?
Yeah, well, I never write it in book format unless I'm writing a book. You know what I mean? I always make sure I put it in screenplay format, and I basically put it in a director's cut, where when I do it, it's easy for you to understand and how to maneuver through it. So I'm always adding my locations because as you write creatively, you're gonna always implement the locations you're familiar with. You know what I mean? So, and the people, you always gonna try to picture the people as well as the names that you're familiarized with as well when implementing the project. So that's usually how I write, always script play format, always.
Well, that's awesome. And you guys, we got to take another break, but I want to get into your background and how you learned how to do this in the first place, because it is a skill. So you guys, stay with us. We'll be right back.
Try to go be a good cop. Not many of us left.
I just stopped by to see my daughter.
Another young black male dead in his 20s due to the lack of training in the capability.
They come in our community, they kill our young black men, and they walk out without a scratch?
Fucking finish your life right now, motherfucker.
We have to blame ourselves too sometimes.
What you talking about?
Them white cops are scared too.
Floor seats for the next couple models going.
Especially with all this shit going on, these police keep killing us out here in these streets like this.
Police!
I'm a cop. You got a badge. Let you talk to people like that.
Step back! Step the fuck back!
What are you gonna do about this motherfucking nigger cop that shot my son?
Your eyes open. Not everybody's in favor of the turnout.
Oh, you want revenge? You're a fucking man.
Step out of the car.
You niggas be over like Rick.
Josh's fingerprints were found at the scene.
Charge him.
They're not so much scared of the guns that we bust off. They're scared of us uniting.
You don't fucking tell me now you'll never see your wife and son again.
One thing I can say that speaks volumes to young people and cops is that we can come together.
We have a warrant for your arrest.
Families are broken because of you folks.
Will not face any criminal charges in the shooting death of Williamson. He was unarmed at the time.
No, I don't need nobody else. Do white cops hate black people?
I'm gonna shoot this motherfucking cop!
back, you guys. Thanks for still being with me and Taheim. Okay, so let's get a little bit into your background, because you know, writing is not everybody's strong point, even as little as writing a paragraph. So how did you learn the skill set behind writing a movie?
Well, my thing, it started out as a book format, you know what I mean? And I didn't know the format. I started writing when I was up north doing my time. And that was my way of escaping, as it's climbing into characters. Is until I came home, John Rifkin, which is Steve Rifkin's brother that owned Loud Records, he the one that introduced me to a program called Final Draft. Final Draft is a program that helps you center your work in screenplay format that professionals use. And once I tapped into that right there, I never looked back.
So you tapped into something that could help walk you through the process, teach you more, make sure you got it correctly. You guys, I'm always preaching education. You got to continually learn and grow, especially when it comes to your skills, your crafts. Okay, now that's only one aspect of it. So you have the writing, you have the networking and marketing to get the cast members on board, and you have the financial aspect. Was there anybody to teach you how to finance a movie and what to pay what and how to do all that? Did you bootstrap it? How did that all come about? Did you have any mentors for that?
No, I didn't have no mentors. I actually seen how people spoke about it on like, yo, you know, you got to pay for gaffers and grips. You got to pay for production. You got to pay for post. I just didn't know the format in chronological order, whether it was from pre-production to production to post. You know what I mean? That was one thing. And so I learned it basically as I put my boots on the floor, basically from that. And what you would call almost like an audio didact. I didn't really go to school for it right there. Just listening and following the remedies of how other people did it.
So on a job training, so many times people do not go forward because they don't know how to do something. They want to learn everything prior. And there's no substitute for just going at it and doing it and learning in the process. Now, I'm sure there was some some I messed up moments, some I could have changed this or did that better. Did you have anything that really stuck out that you wish you could go back or have known about prior to doing this?
I would go back into some of the team that I had, you know what I mean, that when I put the project together, there was a lot of inconsistencies and things that I wasn't aware of on the educational side that was being misrepresented. And I wish I would have known the business a little more, as well as learning about the post on how many other fees, because people think getting the film done is the hardest part. There's a lot that comes after getting the film done, you know what I mean, where it can get real pricey when you're going into posts, into B-rolls, and then you're going into M&Es and on closed captions. And so, you know, like they say, one way or the other, you're going to pay for your education, whether you pay for it through the school way or you pay for it the hard way by putting boots on the floor. But the beautiful thing about my way is it teaches you something that the book don't teach you, because I'm a guerrilla filmer, you know what I mean? Everything I do is guerrilla style, you know what I mean? So I'm gonna steal shots, I'm gonna do whatever it needs to take. Camera don't go off, let's continue on, you know what I mean? And then we'll figure it out from there.
Absolutely, you are gonna pay for your education one way or the other. And you spoke about teams. How did you get your team, your executive team that surrounded you and helped you with the process? Were they people you knew, people who were introduced to you, people who came highly recommended? How did that work?
Well, I had worked with this guy named Cliff Bell originally back in the days. He got a company called Ghetto Nerve. He's the one that I actually watched when we did Southside, because everything I do, I try to do twice and learn from my mistakes, see my strong points and see my weaknesses. And from being around Cliff Bell, he had introduced me to a guy named Brendan. I only knew him for like 15 minutes, and then he just disappeared years later, and popped back up on the scene, happened to find me. So I wanted to know, how did you find me? He said, I'll research your name on IMDb, and he noticed that I had wrote the movie for Onyx, Slam Let the Boys Be Boys, that's in production. And then we met. He was going through some struggles. He was basically saying that in this game, people don't believe in you, and no one's giving me my full shot. So I gave him the shot. I said, in anyone to grow, someone has to take a chance with someone in order to get to that next level. So this was gonna be my first film, and this was gonna be like his first diving into the game. And so we decided to figure it out together.
That's awesome. And somebody do have to believe in you and help you up. You guys, you can't do nothing alone. It's going to take some type of relationship somewhere along the line. And you talked about learning the business behind the business and just going at it. Believe me when I tell you that I'm always preaching learning the business behind the business. And business goes into business to make a profit, correct? So with that being said, how do you then monetize a movie in order to recoup that cost that you put into it?
The question, how do you monetize the cost, correct?
How do you monetize a movie so you can recoup some of your costs?
That's the difficult part, because the chance you have to take is you have to accept the fact you may not recoup what you put out. That's all the risk that you take when jumping off that building or getting past that fear that the money that you put out you may lose or you may not recoup, you know what I mean? Or so many other options, but those are the different adversities and challenges that one must face when deciding to say, listen, I'm going to do it on my own financially, because you don't always make your money back. And I know in usual business, you have to put your P&Ls together, which is your profits and losses, you know what I mean? And I had to accept the fact that the film didn't come out right, that I wouldn't force it to come out because I had too many other relationships that I was carrying. I didn't want to damage their relationship, let alone damage mine as being a new filmmaker coming into the game. Because you only get one shot to be wrong. It's like you only get one shot. You only have one time to be right. You know what I mean? It's a 50-50 percentage when it goes that way. You do it one time wrong, then it's gonna cost you. It can cost you your whole career and your relationship. You do it one time right, it can force you to excel to so many heights that you can be unimaginable. You know what I mean? So that's how I looked at it like that. I didn't look at it as a chasing the financial part. I was chasing the dream.
Yeah. And it's that platform, because that gives you a leg to stand on for so many more levels to it. You guys, we have to take one more break, but when we come back, I definitely want to talk about your other projects and how it led up to Equal Standards. So you guys stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, you guys. Thank you for still being here. Taheim, thank you for still being here. But, we talked a lot about equal standards and the movement that it can create, the conversations that it will enable people to have, because there are taboo topics, politics, religion, police brutality, things like this that needs to be addressed that traditionally we do not like to discuss, but we definitely need to, and Equal Standards will allow us to do that. But with that being said, you didn't just fly up halfway on this mountain and drop Equal Standards on us. You came from other projects, right? So can you tell us a little bit about how this all progressed to Equal Standard? What was first, and were they all about the same topic matter? Like, how did that work?
No, well, Southside is a period piece based in 1988, based about the underworld in Queens. You know what I mean? And so it's two different types of deliveries and perspectives. One is dealing with the underworld, but it's also going to be educational of the Jules that was once involved with the street, as opposed to the Jules that are no longer involved with the street life at all. It's just total reckless. And it was supposed to actually complement Equal Standard. But the deal that was offered to me for Southside, they wanted to strip me from my credentials. They didn't want to let me be creative. They didn't want to let me have all. And I had wrote the first season, secured the talent, shot the sizzle reel and everything, and they was trying to strip that from me. So I took it away from them. I said, son, this is not an opportunity for me. And I came home, and it forced me to write Equal Standard due to a song I heard. Shout out to Alvin Garrett. He wrote a song called By Myself, and I caught the tail end of the song. and that the song with the rage I already had in me on the lack of transparency with the business, along with the stuff that's going on with the legal justice system, it just sparked me and just took over. You know what I mean? It just, like I said, I never had a project resonate and take over me the way Equal Standard did. It was almost like when you go into the biblical terms, when Moses went to that mountain, it was just forced upon him, that information to be handed down to the people. And that's what Equal Standard came down through me.
See, everything happens for a reason. I believe that when a door shuts, it just opens another door, and you got to find your way to the door and use that as your motivator. And in this case, it was a spark to create the next Equal Standard, right?
That's correct.
The business, the entertainment business, the music business, all of it has issues with letting artists be artists and letting them have their ownership, basically. And especially when you're new to the game. Bigger companies want to swallow you up and take those rights from you. So knowing this and being frustrated at the lack of transparency in the industry, how did you learn how to read those contracts, how to look into those fine print? Because so many people sign away everything and don't even realize it, including their name.
Well, one I always look for is term, you know what I mean? Or how long they choose to want to hold on to you. You know what I mean? Time is everything. You know what I mean? A lot of these companies want to hold you 10, 15, 20 years. And that's kind of retarded. I'm like, yo, that got to be crazy. I might even be around that many years to see my project go into another ventureship. You know what I mean? So I look for term. I also look for in perpetuity, on how long, for the duration, forever. You know what I mean? Where they can continue on with you. And so I look at a lot of those words right there. But it was never easy. I still had some form of help when it comes to that language, because, you know, like a lawyer once told me, the paper remembers what the mouth forgets. But I've made mistakes along my way with that right there, being fast to put my Hancock on something and not fully understanding what I was really signing based off of relationships that I had that I may have thought was a friend relationship, but turned out to be a stab in the back.
So you guys, message of this, I love this, what you just said. The paper doesn't forget. What did you repeat that?
The paper remembers what the mouth forgets.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is so beautiful. And a lot of times when we're networking and we're building these relationships, and people could be great, you know, for a while in front of your face, but you got to understand their underlying motives and see what that paper says, because a lot of times at the end of the day, for a lot of people, it's about that money, and they will turn quick on you. So with that being said, you had somebody to say, slow down. You've had previous experience to say, slow down, think about it. A lot of times people get, you know, anxious and excited to get that opportunity to sign their first, you know, NFL deal, to sign their first record deal, to sign their first movie deal, that they jump into stuff without knowing. So I'm glad to know that you have the mentality now to sit back and think about what you're signing. But with that said, there's opportunities, I'm sure, that comes to you from Equal Standard. So what's next? What would you like to see this movie do?
Oh, well, one thing, like you said earlier, I would definitely want it to open up a conversation. That's really one of the strongest things. I would want it to be implemented in the curriculum system as a reference film. I feel Equal Standard should also be placed in every police union academy, also as a reference film, to show you if the lack of accountability is no longer a moral obligation, the pros and cons that can happen from that. Equal Standard will always also demonstrate, when you have community ties with policing, how relationships within the communities, how they're willing to work with each other, as opposed to coming in and creating injustice. So yeah, so that's one of a few things, not even one, a few things that I really would like to see Equal Standard. And I believe it has the legs and the potential to do it, because the way it's written, it's not written like any other project that you see out there. It's written in a way where no one can be upset, and it will force you to want to speak out. However you look at it, after watching it, you will want to talk about it, and you will see things a lot differently, as well as the way the legal justice system and the way these cameras are working today, that now the people on the opposing team are starting to really see what their cultural people about they're doing. It's no longer hearsay. Before, that, like before it used to be, well, Do you have any visuals to validate just your claim? Now we have visuals where you've seen the police creating injustice. You know what I mean? Now you're gonna always have your ignorant ones that I feel suffer from cognitive dissonance. You know what I mean? That's gonna always be there to say, well, what happened before the camera came on? You know what I mean? So everyone tries to find something as an scapegoat. You know what I mean? But the reality is, it is what it is. You know what I mean? Accept your fate and your wrongdoings. You know, and that's where accountability is everything. You know what I mean? Because we're held accountable for the things we do and the things we don't do. And they're not held accountable for neither. You know what I mean? They're afforded qualified immunity, and that's something that needs to be stripped.
Exactly. Absolutely. So with that being said, how do people watch this movie? Because it's being re-released on May 7th, correct?
Correct.
So how do people find and watch this movie?
Well, first, that's the blessing about equal standard, a re-release. That's something I've never seen in my life in this industry besides movie of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs like that that's been re-released for a movie that a black man created that came from an underworld to put a movie out on its own independently, has now gained the profits, but they feel as though we're gonna go theatrical. So May 7th, again, it is in theaters and on demand. June 8th, it'll be on all digital platforms, and on July it hits Walmart. Oh, it's also gonna be on Redbox May 7th. So you got theatrical and Redbox. June 8th, all digital platforms from Google Play, Amazon, Sony, and Fandango, and the list goes on. And again, July, you'll be able to purchase your hard copy because you're gonna need this in your library right here as a reference film.
Absolutely. I so appreciate the time you took out with me today, Taheim. You guys, stay tuned. We have more coming. Taheim, Equal Standard, The Bomb. I think it is definitely a story that needs to be told, supported. Hence the reason I said I'd support this movie and get the word out, because this is conversations we need to have, and that's what we plan to do, correct?
Correct, that's correct.
That's correct.
So,
where do the people find you, Taheim?
Well, one, you can follow the film at Equal Standard, or you could follow me on The Real Taheim. So that's TAHEIM, and THE is the, not duh.
I won't add to that.
You know, sometimes you get that duh.
Yeah, right. No, correct English, you guys. So with that being said, you guys, word of mouth is the most powerful form of, marketing anything. That's actually how I found out about the movie. Word of mouth. So you guys, definitely, we got to support one another, push the movie, push the narrative, push the conversations, because that's what we're about, you guys. As always, thank you for watching. I'd like to thank my networks, WBGR, DMR, Total Entertainment Radio, Power 904, Dent Damage TV. Shout out to you all. And as always, you can follow me at Get It, Got It Good G3 across all social media platforms, or follow me personally at Nysia, NYSIA, Carter or Wilhite, WILHITE. You guys, I have nothing but love for y'all. I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Peace.
My plan is to make it even bigger than that, an episodic. You know what I mean? Where you can continue, because this is something that goes on every day. This is not something that you could just look at today and then put it down. It's a reference. So only way you can remain consistent is continue walking. So yeah, my plan is to convert it into an episodic, and with the help of y'all and everyone else, you have to put the words out there and the energy into the universe. Also, I also ask everyone humbly, can y'all go to IMDb and make a vote after you see the film? Put your rating into it and see how the film affected you and put your notes. So go to IMDb. That's the film platform. I would greatly appreciate that. But we're going to continue on this journey, because we got a long way to go, And I'm ready to continue walking.
And we're here for it. So, okay, sorry, Bishop, come ahead.
Can I just add this? I was very careful as a